Welcome to AutoAction software. Today is a training about trading in AutoAction. We're going to talk today on how to do a training in AutoAction. And there are two different types of trading we're going to talk or cover today. One of them is a trading when the customer walks into the dealership with his own vehicle and he wants to trade in with one of the vehicles at the lot. The other type of the trade-in is when the customer is walking into the vehicle walking into the dealership with a vehicle he already purchased previously from the dealership, and he's still making payments on that vehicle. So, in both cases, it's a sale. The dealer is selling a vehicle to the customer. So we open AutoAction, and on the main switchboard, we go to the sales panel. We're gonna click on sales panel here. And that will take us to the sales. We're going to click on it and we'll open the form sales. This form basically is the form we're going to use and all the dealers use to do sales in AutoAction. And in the form we're going to see here, the top section of the form is the buyer and the co-buyer information. And here is going to be the section that reserved for the vehicle info, and definitely the type of sale and structure in the sale will be here. Now, if the customer is a first-time buyer, he never been into the dealership before, then we need to enter his information in the system. So we're gonna click on select or add a buyer or a co-buyer in this green button here. This will open a new form. We call it customers. This form is a form we're going to use to enter the customer information. Again, if the customer has already been into the dealership before and his information is already stored in the system, then all we need to do is to select the customer from the customers list here. We do not need to re-enter his information. It's already exists in the system. But if the customer first time he's into the lot, then we're going to enter his information here. So we're going to start with the first name of the customer. We're going to use our regular favorite customer. It's going to be John, a middle initial, and here is Doe. We're going to enter and load all the information we need to include in the cell. For example, here we're going to use the buyer type. He's individual. He wants to purchase a vehicle, and he is going to use the driver license as an ID to purchase the vehicle. And here we're going to enter ID number, and definitely the issuer. Okay. And then we're gonna enter the customer address here. And we're gonna go and load in the zip code. And we're gonna click enter after we put the zip code here, and then the program will automatically decode that zip code and give us the city, the state, and the county. Any other information we want to include, we can definitely do here. And if the customer is purchasing the vehicle with a buyer, with a co-buyer and a spouse, definitely we need to load in the information. And here, the form for customers, we have the buyer information here, and also the co-buyer or the spouse will be here in this tab. Once we click on it, it will open this tab, and we can load in the information of the spouse here, or the co-buyer here. And if he's by himself, we just load in the information related to the customer. Now here, once we have everything done, we're gonna click on edit associated cell. And what this means here, we already have the cell form open. Remember, we click to add the buyer. Here we added the buyer, then we're gonna edit this cell with this information. And another way, it will copy all the information we entered here, and it will populate that information on the cell screen. I'm gonna click on this one. It's gonna close this form, save the information, and you see here all the information is here. So we are good here. We have the information of the customer, and then we're gonna select our vehicle the customer willing to buy. And for example, he's purchasing this vehicle. And you see here, whenever excuse me, whenever you select the vehicle, the program will give you the first pop-up here to remind you, based on the gross vehicle weight for the vehicle you are selling, the fee, the registration fee, is this much, which is $50.75. And this is the fee is going to be all the vehicles are less than 6,000 pounds, the gross vehicle weight for those vehicles. Definitely if it's more than 6,000 pounds, the fee will be different. And in order to have AutoAction charge or apply the correct fee, you need to make sure you put the correct gross vehicle weight on the vehicle information when you load in the vehicle in the system. So we're going to click OK here. And here is the second pop-up asking us to make sure we apply the current mileage of the vehicle at the time of the sale. So I'm going to click OK. And if you forget, like me here, to put the mileage on the vehicle information, we can enter it here, for example. Okay. And now we have the vehicle information, we have the customer information. All we need to do is the sale. So basically the type of the sale here, we're going to select what type of sale, and in my example today I'm going to use the in-house finance sales tax deferred. Okay. And then I'm going to put here the price of the vehicle. And before I move forward to structure the sale, I'm gonna include the trade-in in the sale here. So here's asking is there is any trade-in. Yes, there is a trade-in. I'm gonna select yes, and when I select the yes on the drop down here, this is gonna open the trade-in form. In the trade-in form, when it's open, by default AutoAction put a new stock number for the vehicle we are taking as a trade-in. And the stock number here is going to be basically the same stock number for the vehicle I'm selling with a T in the end. And this will make it easy for dealers to track the trade-in vehicles comes to the shop. And by knowing whatever the digits before the T, then it will know which vehicle you sold to the customer, and you know what's the sale and which sale this trade-in came in from. So here is definitely you can change this stock number to whichever stock number you want. Make sure you cannot use an existing stock number in the system. AutoAction will never restore two stock numbers, the same stock number, to two different vehicles. And here is going to be the ACV, the date of the trade-in is going to be today, the date of the sale, and the ACV, which is stand for the actual cash value of the vehicle you're taking as a trade-in. And this information will be basically of the value of the vehicle you're taking, whatever the value is you believe it is, then you load it in here. Now, if the vehicle you're taking as a trade-in is already been paid off and the customer has the title, then definitely the amount of the payoff is going to be 0. If the vehicle you're taking as a trade-in is still there is a lien on it and the customer keep making payment, then you need to make sure you know what's the payoff of the vehicle you're taking as a trade-in. You include that amount, dollar amount here, and you can select who is the lien holder. In our example, this trade-in is with a 0 payoff. And here is going to be the information of the vehicle we are taking as a trade-in. And basically what we're going to put is the VIN number. We type in the VIN number. I have it here. And once I finish entering the VIN number, I'm going to click on enter. And we see here the program decode the VIN and give us the year, the model, make, and the information here. Now here you can include the mileage of the vehicle you're taking as a trade-in and the odometer status, like if it's an actual mileage or whatever. So we're going to use this example here. Okay. And then once we finish with the information of the vehicle, we're going to click on trade-in vehicle. Now we see here the AutoAction put the trade-in vehicle information here. And we're going to see here there is a trade-in allowance. And the allowance is basically what's the money you're giving the customer for his trade-in. Now, back to the actual cash value, some dealers, they put it at the time of the sale. Some of them, no, after they take the vehicle, then they look into the books and see what's the actual cash value, and then they load it in once the vehicle is stored in the system. The allowance is basically what the dealer is giving to that customer towards his vehicle. So for example, this is 2013 and the dealer is giving $6,500 to the customer. We're going to include this amount here. Now, we need to make sure whatever amount we give as allowance to the customer, it's a tax deductible on the trade-in. In another word, whenever you do a trade-in and you have the vehicle price here, the sales tax will be calculated based on this price minus the allowance. And we're going to see that later on when we do the deal summary before we submit the deal. Now back to the sale, we have this is the sale price and this is the trade-in allowance. The difference between both plus TTNL, this is going to be the subject to finance. And we need to remember here the subject to finance is not including any sales tax because this is a sales tax deferred. Down payment, if the customer making any dollar amount to the down payment, we're going to put it here. If not, taking into consideration the vehicle he's given it, the $6,500 will be as if it's a down payment. So if there's any down payment, we're going to put the down payment here. And if there's any deferred down payment, we can load it in this section here. Up to 4. If it's more than 4, we need to click on this one to put the number of the deferred down payments and the amount. Now here where we're going to structure the sale, which is the in-house finance sales tax deferred. And basically we're going to start the easiest way is how much is the cycle, the payment cycle, if it's monthly, bi-weekly or whatever. And for example, we're going to use the bi-weekly. And here we're going to start with the payment amount. So most of the dealers ask the customer how much he's going to pay every 2 weeks. And for example, here is going to be $250. Okay, so based on the $250 and you select whichever APR you want, and you cannot go over the legal maximum or whichever is less the dealership maximum APR. And once you structure the sale, you're done. Then before submitting the deal and sign the contract and everything, I recommend all our dealers to go to the deal summary. The deal summary is in the print center. We're gonna click it here. And here is the deal summary, and this will give us an overview to the sale and how we structured the sale. So basically in the deal summary, this is the customer information, this is the vehicle you are selling, and this is the trade-in vehicle. The sale price is this much, which is $19,800. The trade-in, which is the allowance you're giving to the customer, is $6,500. And this is what I meant by this amount allowance is a tax deductible, because the sales tax, the 6.25, will be calculated on the difference between the allowance and the sale price. And the difference here is $13,300, and the tax will be calculated on this amount, not the full amount of the sale price. So this is the sales tax, and those are the fees and the taxes. And this is the total itemized fees. So this is the balance of the customer. I recommend all our dealers to look into this deal summary on every single sale they do to the customer before signing the contract, regardless if there is a trade-in or not. This will give them an overview on the sale and make sure the numbers is what they want to sell the vehicle for. And this is how to do a trade-in with a customer who walked into the dealership and he is trading his own vehicle with one of the vehicles at the lot. And definitely on the print center, when you print the sales document, you need to take in consideration to print the trade-in documents, like the power of attorney to transfer the title and disclosure of equity on the vehicle you are taking from the customer. And here are the trade-in documents. Any question for all our dealers they have how to do a trade-in, you can please either email us on support@wiseit.com or call the support line on 713-827-0777, and we'd be glad to help you at the time of the sale, or even if you don't have a sale, you just have a question how to do a trade-in. When we do a trade-in and then we finish and we sign the contract and everything, the trade-in vehicle will be stored in the system. So I'm going to close it to save the sale, and it's going to be in the inventory here. So we go to the inventory form, and we're going to look into the trade-in vehicle, and we're going to see it here, which is, remember, the same stock number with a T in the end. And here you can definitely not this one, it's another trade-in. It was the 25T, the Toyota Corolla is this one. Okay, and here you're gonna see the vehicle information here, and we're gonna see the date it bought, which is the date of the sale you sold the vehicle, and here is trade-in from, with the customer, and the source is a trade-in. And definitely here you can load in the ACV, the purchase price, which is I kept it 0 at the time of the trade-in. Some dealers after doing the sale, they can load in the ACV value of the vehicle here. The ACV value is not going to do anything on the sale. It's not going to change any numbers on the sale. It's just to keep what's the purchase price from the, as if it's a purchase price for the vehicle from the customer. It could be the same as the allowance, or it could be a different number. It could be the same amount of the allowance, whatever you give the customer, like the 6,500 in our example. And then definitely here you can add whatever reconditioning costs, have the vehicle ready or available to sell it to a different customer. So this is basically how we do a trade-in. Now we're going to talk also how to do a trade-in from a customer who already purchased a vehicle previously from the dealership, and he is still making payments on that vehicle. It's not a paid off vehicle. And in this case, a customer walk in and he wants to trade in his vehicle. So of course he's a customer already purchased a vehicle from the dealership, then his information is already in the system stored. So it's a sale. Same thing, we go to the form sales, and we go same steps to add the buyer to the sale. The difference here, we're not going to enter the customer information because he is an existing customer and his information is already stored in the system. So for example, I'm going to use this customer. Just need to make sure and confirm all the information are current and up to date. Definitely here we have the address missing. We can enter the address. And we need to be current on his cell phone, especially for buy here pay here. We need to make sure we got a good source of information to contact the customer, and then we're going to click edit associated sale. Now we have the customer information loaded up, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to select the vehicle that customer willing to buy from the dealership. For example, we're going to use this vehicle, and here is the reminder about the gross vehicle weight and how much is going to be the registration fee. And make sure all the dealers to keep up to date with all the fees being charged. We don't want to overcharge customers. And here is the mileage as well. Now, if there is any trade-in, yes, there is a trade-in. Definitely before that, you can select the type of the sale and the selling price, for example. Now here we're gonna select the trade-in, yes. And here is gonna open the same form, the trade-in form, with a little bit different here it look like. And the difference is because the customer purchased a vehicle from the dealership, so AutoAction will show the vehicle that he purchased in this section. And to ask us, is this the vehicle he want to trade in, or it could be a different vehicle, like he has a different vehicle he want to trade in. But in this example, we're going to use the same vehicle he purchased previously from the dealership. Okay, so all what we need to do is just select this one and click it. Now here what's happening, AutoAction will load in the vehicle information. Not only that, it will load in the trade-in payoff. And remember, this vehicle, the customer is still doing payments on it, so it's not paid off yet, but the program automatically put what's the payoff will be today, which is the day of the sale. We need to take in consideration the vehicle we are taking from the customer. As a dealership, need to pay this vehicle off, pay all the sales taxes. But remember, this amount, whatever allowance you give to the customer, it will be tax deductible. And the same thing here is the actual cash value for the vehicle. You can load it in here or you can keep it after you store the vehicle and put it on the inventory screen. Okay, so the lien holder here will be the dealership, and you can include the miles of the vehicle here. Once we're done, all the information is good, then we're going to click on trade-in. Now here we're going to have the trade-in information here. All what we need to put the allowance we're giving to the customer towards his vehicle. And the allowance is what the dealer believes he is giving to the customer to make the sale done, or what's the vehicle worth. It could be the actual cash value, or it could be the payoff of the vehicle, the amount of the payoff. Some dealers, they will tell the customer, whatever left on the vehicle, I'll give it the same amount as allowance. The allowance, I will show you how the numbers is going to be calculated in this case, because there isn't a trade-in payoff. Remember, the trade-in payoff will be added to the price of the vehicle you are selling to the customer. But definitely whatever allowance you give to the customer, it will be taken consideration. It will lower that price again. So let's see in here, I'm going to show you multiple examples. One of them, like if you give the allowance like around $12,000, a little bit more than the actual cash value, but definitely it's less than the payoff. So if you give the $12,000 here to the vehicle, to the customer, basically what's going to happen, and we're going to see in the deal summary, this is the sale price for the vehicle. It will add the payoff and it will deduct the allowance. And remember, the allowance is tax deductible. So in this case or scenario, if you go to the print center and you try to look into the deal summary, you're going to see here is going to be the sale price for the vehicle. Here we have the net trade-in. And the net trade-in basically is the difference between the payoff and the allowance. And because the allowance is less than the payoff, the customer still owe more, we're going to see the net trade-in is in the negative $3,000. And that amount will be added to the sale price. So the new cash balance for the customer is going to be $24,600. that means he's going to owe more, he's going to finance more. But if you look at the sales tax here, it's only $593, and this is basically based on the sell price here, the $21,500 minus the $12,000, which is going to be like around $9,500 here. So the sales tax here you're going to pay, or the customer is going to pay, is going to be definitely less one from whatever you are selling the vehicle, and this one is because the allowance is always a tax deductible. Okay, now this is the scenario how is the net trade-in is going to be in the negative, meaning the customer owe more money on his vehicle he's trading in than he is getting, and definitely he is purchasing a higher price vehicle. So this will make his cash balance more than what's originally for the sale price. And of course, this cash balance, we're going to add the TTNL, which is taxes, fees, and license, and definitely the cash balance will be way more. So this is the first scenario where it's the allowance is less than the payoff. The second scenario, some dealers that like to give the allowance equal to the payoff to turn off whatever the customer, just ask the customer, you don't have to pay anything, or we're not going to carry any over to the new sale. So here in this case, whatever amount we have on the payoff, I'm going to copy it and put it as the allowance. Now in this scenario, it's going to be a little bit different. If I go to the deal summary here, take a quick look, we're going to see this is the sell price, and here the net trade-in is 0. And the net trade-in is 0, it's because whatever allowance the dealer is giving towards the trade-in is paid off the vehicle. Payoff is equal to the allowance, so the difference is 0. And the sales tax here went way less. Now it's $397 because the tax is calculated on the sale price minus the allowance. Whatever the difference is going to be based what we're going to calculate the sales tax. And definitely this is going to be the balance, the cash balance on the vehicle, which is going to be equal to the sale price plus TTNL, and this is the total balance for the customer he's going to finance. Now this is the second scenario where the trade-in payoff is equal to the allowance on the vehicle. There are some scenarios where the dealer will give to the customer more than what the vehicle payoff is. For example, the dealer, he believes he can give to the customer allowance of $17,000 here, or $500. Okay. Now, in our example we're using here, we don't put any down payment. Definitely the down payment will change whatever the cash balance on the sale. Now here the allowance is going to be $17,500, which is basically more than the payoff. So the $17,500 will take out the payoff to pay off this vehicle, and the rest will be deducted from the cash price. So we're going to see and look how the numbers are going to change in this scenario. We're going to go to this powerful report again. And here in this report, we're going to look and see this is the sell price. Now the net trade-in now is positive 2,357, and this is because you're giving more money to the vehicle than its own payoff. So the rest will be in the net trade-in. So the sell price minus the net trade-in, and this is the cash balance, which is $19,000. And here we're going to see again the sales tax is being calculated based on the sell price minus the allowance. And this is how it's going to be the cash balance, which is the the amount the customer is going to finance. Definitely, if there is any down payment, this will be lower by the down payment as well. Okay, so this is the three scenarios. It could be happen any one of them to any trade-in, especially when there is a payoff on the vehicle. Now, the first example we had about where there's no payoff, whatever allowance you give to the customer, it's going to be basically lowering the cash price of the vehicle. But if there's any trade-in, based on that trade-in, the allowance that will change the numbers on the sale. And then once we are putting all the information here, definitely we continue, structuring the sale. The same thing. We choose the payment cycle, and the payment amount here we load it in, and we can put whichever APR we want, for this vehicle, and continue the sale. Now, on this sale is going to be the whatever the allowance is applied, it will be paying off the previous vehicle. So once we're done here, this account for this customer with this vehicle, it will be paid off, and we're going to see the account is paid off automatically in AutoAction. You do not have to go and pay it off. And then this vehicle will be restored into the system with now a new stock number, and this stock number will be the same stock number of the vehicle you're selling to the customer with a T in the end. So you don't have to, once you do the trade-in on a vehicle the customer already purchased from your dealership, definitely the program will pay off that account. So I'm going to click close, and I'm going to go to inactive, and I'm going to see the account. This is the account, and it got paid off on today's date. And you're gonna see here the amount of the payoff amount. It will show paid as a trade-in. Definitely, if this is a sales tax deferred, you're gonna pay the sales tax on, or the AutoAction will collect the sales tax on the payoff here, the trade-in. But again, whatever allowance you give, it will lower the sales tax on the vehicle you're selling to the customer. And the same thing, if you go to the inventory, we're going to look and see that vehicle got restored back into the system with a new stock number. It's going to be, let me use one of the available vehicles. Okay, and you remember the 11,000 we entered at the at the trade-in. Now it's already been restored here as the actual cash value. And definitely you can add in your reconditioning costs you do to get the vehicle ready for the sale, and then it's available for sale, and it's a trade-in and trade-in from this customer. Okay, this is how you do a trade-in for a vehicle that the customer already purchased a vehicle from the dealership, and he's still making payment on the vehicle, and in other words, not paid off. Again, if you have any question regarding the trade-in in AutoAction, please give us a call on the phone number we have here, or you can email us on support@wiseit.com. I hope I did explain how to do the trade-in for you. If you have anything, just give us a call back. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.